I don't know, I planned on fast forwarding through that beginning part there, and the idea was to just kind of, I wanted to focus a bit on laying, like, on some shapes, and pretty much, like, if, you was noticing what I was saying in the last vid about the molding process or sculpting process to find the shapes, to pretty much define silhouette and find um, a comfortable look, like even with the feet. I explained this before, I'm not like the best, but it's the general concept. I still got a lot of practice to do to, if I want to be that much better. And also, yeah, just to show a bit of that. You gotta bear with me, I'm a bit tired. But it's there. I did these guides to kind of give angle. I wanted to try to emphasize on the angle of where things are. Like maybe I'll probably drop this lower, but still the idea was to kind of do this on the fly. And I'm pretty comfortable where it stands, and I'm probably ready to do some detail. If you notice, I moved the arms because I felt like it was too long here, too short here. I still feel like the hand is a little elongated here, but I did it in a way that, it was more like a pencil paper thing to show, maybe you could be a little bit more comfortable with that concept. I'm gonna cheat right here, sorry. But just so, those of you following along on paper can see, like I'm pretty much like fixing the mistakes, getting rid of lines that get in the way so I could see a bit more. And it's even good to kind of pass your eraser on some of the darker lines just to lighten it up so you can see where you're working a little better. These are all like very helpful techniques. I wouldn't recommend um, erasing too much, because it'll mess up your paper. But it's gonna take a lot of practice, so you're gonna end up erasing stuff. But the idea is to try to keep some of the mistakes. I would like to say that it's good to have your mistakes, because then when you look back at the piece, um you know where to work, like what you need to work on. So when you do your next piece, you kind of keep in mind and learn from your mistakes. So I'm good with the way it feels right here, for this one. I'm gonna jump over to the next one really quick and see if I could do this within the few minutes. I was planning on trying to make this as short as possible. See if I could fix this one also. But since I'm, gonna chop this video down a bit, it'll probably still be a short video. So if I'm gonna go quiet again, probably save some time and focus on these parts. This one I'm probably gonna just cheat. No, no, let's do the challenge and just erase and redraw and try to see if we could straighten this one out at least a little better. I'm still gonna keep some of the mistakes because it's good reference. I like to show that I'm not perfect and I'm not trying to uh, make it harder than what it already is for a lot of anybody else who's trying to learn. Like I want you to learn from your mistakes and not try to think it has to be perfect. But yeah, I'll be back. Gonna speed up here, focus a bit, and then I'll come back and talk about some of the decisions I made. Alright, I think I'm gonna stop there. Um, because these things take crazy long to build. And this one is basically to touch base on finding the shape and uh, working for the silhouette. Some of the decisions I made on this one, like I wanted to thin out the head a bit. I'm working with a lighter color ink, so it'll be easier to work with. See, like right now I'm thinning out the head a bit, and maybe I want to put emphasis on where the ears are gonna be. Just some like curvy moon. You know, it doesn't have to be too perfect. It's just, something there to indicate that there's ears. This guy I probably want with short hair. He's probably like, since he's like a mage, I want him to. Maybe I won't go with the traditional hood on this one. Maybe something more modern. But the decisions I made here, I wanted the arm to kind of feel like he's like a little bit more. His posture is a little bit more emphasized. I still kind of like where the arm sits as it's foreshortened, and I want him to have almost a slimmer look. So, I didn't want to make the arm look too beefy or muscular. And when something is coming towards you, you got to think of it like, it does get bigger here, but you wouldn't see too much because the forearm is almost in front. It depends on the angle, so you really want to pay attention to that. Maybe stand in the mirror and look at your arm or your hand or whatever the case may be to just look at the shape and how they tie together, how they are relevant to each other. A good way, like I did in the stickman, you're looking at it kind of like a check mark. So it's short here, and then the forearm probably feels a little bit bigger because it's in front, so it's probably slightly bigger than the one that's in the back. So that's stuff to keep in mind. I also noticed I got him in such a way that This arm is in front, this arm is in back. I still didn't work on this hand yet, but I kind of like where it sits. Maybe just make it a little smaller. And it feels a little bit better. Maybe I should have did an open hand, but I kind of like that he's with the clenched fist, like maybe he's ready to fight, ready to battle. But when we really look at it, it looks like he's stepping forward in a way, and I made this one look like it's more in the back, and I emphasized with some type of like shadow. I changed the shape of the foot, if you caught that one, and this one is different for a separate reason. Like I'll probably drop a line here, a hint line here, and have my roundish box here later on. But you see how earlier it just went straight into a point. It's just like markers. Think of it as markers to remind you of certain things. You'll learn these things as you go along, and you'll have your own type of way of putting these together. I also wanted to show that I did this leg kind of rounded, and this one is more squarish, to emphasize on that the use of different shapes. You could use pretty much what you're really comfortable with based on the style you're going for. Um, a lot of game art and manga stuff, depending on the character's clothes. Some people like to draw the character right away, um, almost clothed, so it helps with the more boxy look to cover a lot of ground when you're trying to do rapid art and draw pictures fast. So, that's something to think about. But for now, I just wanted to go with how I do things, and it's more based on anatomy, because I don't know what they're gonna wear yet, but I need to know where everything kind of sits, so that way I know a little bit more on if I'm gonna, depending, if I want something showing, like maybe a short sleeve shirt, so there's gonna be a lot more detail in the arm, or maybe it's like a shoulder, a cut, a no sleeve shirt, so a lot more of the arm is showing, or maybe it's just some type of cloak in the whole arm. I might not even have all the detail there. It may sound like wasted time, but it depends on your style, and especially if you're just building a character uh straight away. Even if you have all of this covered, you still need to know where certain structures of the arm is, because let's say the arm is bent here and he has this type of sleeve. You know how the folds of the clothes are gonna fall, and it pretty much helps in the future. So it's good to have the actual character like structure built, muscle structure and everything, like basically almost a nude character. So you gotta kind of not think dirty with that in mind. You'll find out when you go pursue anatomy drawing, figure drawing class. You're gonna be looking at nakedness. So, I advise grow up really quick if you're trying to get better at drawing. No offense, but that's just the way it is. Over here, I didn't pay too much attention to this because, this is, I admit, a character that I know I'm gonna struggle with this, even though I'm still throwing this together really fast. So, but I imagine, like what I'm gonna put on him is really gonna cover quite a bit. So, I'm not gonna try to do it complicated and close. I'll probably get into accessories and stuff and how to look at the shapes to drape them or wrap them around like a belt, maybe a necklace, some type of chain. Um, different ideas. A watch or a bracelet. That's one of the reasons why I do these rings where the wrist would be, because it could emphasize a sleeve, a watch, maybe the end of the glove, stuff like that. In the hands, I just drop a line there, a hint line there to show where the knuckles begin, and maybe later on I'll just put a line, something like that. I don't know if you can see, but it's a very small line for more detail in the finger. So, I'll just drop a line across to emphasize where the knuckle lands. The same thing as putting where the finger bends would be. Another thing, I don't know if you noticed, I went towards the neck and put a V shape there, and I'm sure you see that in a lot of drawings, so you want to make sure you have those type of lines in there. Understand how these structures come across in the anatomy. Like when you start putting the muscles in, if this is exposed, you got to know how some of this stuff bends and wraps around. So these are things you want to pay attention to, so it'll be a little bit more believable in your drawing. And that's where it starts becoming complicated, because the mind starts looking at these details first. And the way I did this was more to show you where to begin, so your mind isn't looking at these details right away. You're just you want to think of drop the hint lines of these things. You're hinting towards it, and you're not really throwing in the extra detail just yet. I was just doing it just so you can see a bit. Like I'm not doing a six-pack on the character because maybe I want him to have a chubby belly, but I'll do a little belly button to show where the hips would be, like right here. I feel like this is crappy here, but then again, I know that I'm gonna cover a lot of that, so I just want the basic, tube shape. And like I said, based on your style, I'm just gonna be repeating myself, and I'm trying not to. Based on your style, you're just gonna have a more simpler thing going on. Just as a side note, let's say I was looking at a game art video, and the guy was drawing a spaceman, and he kind of just like did a line, and you know a head, and some type of body shape, but he actually had like a shoulder line. I'm imagining a different way. A shoulder line, a hip line, and maybe something to indicate where the feet land. And his shapes were really basic, so it kind of went something along the lines of this. And I'm thinking like maybe the character is gonna be trying to. I'm thinking like he's trying to give a high five. But right away you can see where like I'm just throwing shapes together. I'm emphasizing this is where the arm would bend, but obviously it's not bending. I'll probably would want to bend this one, but I'm just putting it together really fast. I'll bend it now. And this is basically the way he put it together. And just off of this, right away, you see how fast the drawing went. You want to know the silhouette of the character that you're drawing. And I went into a more complex design, but the general rule applies. I did some basic shapes. I did like a A for the body, and I had like, I don't know what you would want to call this, but you can break it down to either rectangles or some type of end of a pencil, like the eraser end. And then then you start throwing your details in. So I'm gonna do this pretty quick while I'm at it. I've been doing long content, so I might as well just make it as informative as possible, because I disappear for a while, and since I have the time, I'll just drop a bunch in there for you to study. So your homework would be to practice these these principles. I'm gonna leave a link to a video that I think is pretty good. Is a guy that pretty much breaks it down that anybody can draw, and I like to teach that. And he teaches you like simple pencil strokes. He actually draws on with a marker, and I recommend doing that too. A little notepad and a pen because it's permanent and you can't erase, and just draw random things and keep your mistakes. Just do these permanent bold strokes and know you can't erase them. So it's practice to just get better. So yeah, I'm not good with like these type of things. I like high detail stuff, but you get the idea. So like I got this spaceman thing going on, and then now that I got my basic shape, uh, I don't know. Let's do something like gloves at the end. I'm even gonna drop his mission patch. Just emphasize on that, and maybe it just be like a smiley face. So like I got half a smiley face going on over there. Um, maybe I'll do like lines over here to emphasize that like seams, and it gives it just a little bit more detail. So when I go and erase all of this, my construction lines, my stickman lines, we get the better picture. And of course, I would do a lot more work on this. Just you know trying to clean it up and make my lines straighter in the finishing process. But this is just for the general idea. You see how I kind of threw this together, and it was just off of memory from watching a video that I thought was pretty cool. I'm gonna see if I could find it and post that also in the description. You know, actually, it's somebody. I think I'm subscribed to the guy. He teaches game art and other type of material like that. So maybe you want to do like a little face in here, depending if there's glare. I'll just probably hint at a line here, and we got a little face going on, or maybe not. Because it's tinted so that the sun doesn't melt their eyes, or whatever the sun does to their eyes while they're in space. The light. This emphasizes the light, and then you go ahead and like shade it in. Good trick is just hatching is a good shading tool. It emphasizes that something is like a either has shadow or has a color, and in this case it'll be color. And usually it just be in one direction, not cross hatching. There's hatching and cross hatching, but we'll get into that later. In the more finishing section of the character drawing. But for now, this was just to pretty much, go off, sorry to go on the tangent, but, just to give you the general idea of how it works with just the basic shapes. Like right here, we know that the character we want to give the idea that he's round and not just flat, unless that's what you're aiming for, Paper Mario. So I'll do like a curved shape here, more seams. Curved shape here. The mission patch is even curved. It's not just a square or a rectangle. And I go on my little cleanup here and there. Emphasize the boot. And mind you, I just spent a lot of time at the helmet because, maybe it's more detail there. I'm gonna drop a little backpack thing over here, and make that feel kind of cool. And a little bendy antenna. and boom, you got yourself a little spaceman. And it was kind of basic. He's reaching for the stars kind of thing. And that's what I want you to go for when on your homework, reach for the stars. Since the light is coming from this direction, let's try to jump in that really quick. I mentioned the hatching. So sometimes you want to kind of shape out where the shadow would be. But me right away, I'll just do the hatching. But this is a good idea too. Um, hatch that in. Maybe you want to do the lines more separated because you're not emphasizing that it's a color as much as this is a shadow area. And as you can see, it makes a lot of difference when you're trying to show that a shape is not flat. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe some shadow on this side here. And the reason why I got it here is because I'm imagining how the light is hitting the guy. So it's more on this side, but I would imagine this is covered. I'm gonna start here under the arm. You also have reflective light, but it depends on how realistic it is, and this is just a cartoon character, so it's not gonna have too much of a lighting scenario that's more realistic. So we want to stick to the cartoony type of feel. Like right here was probably a mistake to even add shadows, but play around with that um and see how it feels. It's all in good practice. This is going on for quite a while, and I gotta edit this, and I'm hoping it's not that long. Maybe another mission patch or a pocket protector, who knows. Just add details here and there. You already know how to build it. Just see what feels good for you and just keep playing with it. Like maybe I'll do um more shapes here and there. This will be more like a belt. I don't know, I kind of enjoy doing this, so and making content. And I don't know, it's not that I like hearing myself, it's more like I like talking and explaining something that I'm into. I actually enjoy this, so I kind of get carried away. you know I don't know, let me know in the comments, you talk too much, guy, or you're not keeping on topic. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I am, but whatever. So, you know, maybe he's floating in space. I'll do a little background too. It's not perfect. I could cheat and use the circle drawing tool, but I'm gonna sketch it in really quick. Nice long strokes for something larger. And, maybe, this is the moon. So I'm gonna do a crater or two. Little one, you know. And craters ain't, all that perfect with their edges, so maybe later, like you see I sketched it really quick with perfect edges, and then now throw a little jaggedy line here and there when you're doing your finish lines. So you know if you get the flow, you notice I kind of throw something there to hint at it, and then later on I come back and start finishing it. This one I did right away as finished. It depends how comfortable you are. It comes with the practice. So now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna probably get rid of lines that I don't need. I kind of like this, so I'm gonna zoom out really quick so we could look at it better. And I'm gonna, yeah, I took the long way. You notice I like to do things the hard way. Oh man. So, oh, I'm gonna put it on a different layer because I want to be able to see it. And right there, I think that's kind of a good picture, and I'm gonna keep it so later on we'll work on this too to finish. So right now, I just showed you three, four, well, if you're counting the arm up here, things that we drawn. We just filled the paper and we're doing this one lesson, character creation. And I didn't take it just from a high detail style character like manga or comic art, which I usually do. I really was thinking about this one when I came back to do this. And I was thinking, well, I'm not talking about doing more simple characters, which maybe some people are interested in learning. So that's why I did this one a little bit longer. And hopefully, this is something that somebody wants to see more of. I don't usually do this. So I would like to do more of this because, I'm kind of struggling with being creative in the game area right now. But that's another story, another topic. I just want to just close out on that, and maybe I'll do a part two right away. I don't know. Let me go have some coffee and think about that. Hope you liked. Let me know what you think. Don't be shy. Um, because I'm just gonna feel like I'm doing this for no reason. And I just hope it helps somebody. I hope this was helpful. My name is Kai. Thanks for stopping by, and talk to you on the next one.